well, lost the better half of my collection, but at least now I can move on. So I guess I should get back to reviewing. Let's find that stuff that Dingle left for me. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Alright, let's see down here. Got Source's figure. I might do that. Probably not. There's too many of them. Ooh, giant size Spider-Man. That'd be cool. Hey guys, it's the Geek finally back after the holidays for a new Formers Friday. And today I got a big one for you. Today we've got Power Master Optimus Prime, but that's not really his name because this is an import. So we're looking at Super God Ginrai. Now in America, we got a very small variation of this character, which is like, alright, we've got basically three characters in one. We got Power Master Optimus Prime, character Japan called the God Bomber, and then this is Super God Ginrai. This was just regular Ginrai, I think. I don't know if he had a name. Maybe he was Super God Ginrai, because the original toys, there was even a smaller form of Prime, and he would connect with the tractor trailer of that toy to make what we got as Power Master Optimus Prime. Now, the figure in this set, we don't got that small version. He just starts at Power Master Optimus Prime. And the American version of this big battle armored version, America, we got a very small toy about this big. And they labeled him as Apex Armor Optimus Prime. But none of this character is actually Optimus Prime. Let's clear that up right now, because this is a Japanese import. See, right over here? Takara Tomy. This is not a Hasbro toy. Even though Hasbro and Takara are basically the same thing nowadays. But, I'll show you better photos of this while I'm talking. But, yeah, this thing is immense. And I can understand why we never got this in the States. And I will show you that as we do the review, but right now we're just looking at the box because it's so massive. I don't normally show off the box, but I gotta show off this box. Now, it includes a few things. In addition to basically the figure, we also got the instructions. There was no card that I recall seeing, no trading card, but it did come with a little manga. Like a 2-page manga, which I don't think I'm going to show you. I don't know. There's no actual nudity, but there's a girl half naked in a shower. We don't need to show that off. But it's all in Japanese, and I can't speak Japanese. But I love this figure so much, as it is. Transforming it is another story. But anyway, we've seen what it comes with that aren't toys anyway. And then it came with 4 Titan Masters. We've got this guy. I think his name was Haikyuu in America, or I don't know, whoever the headmaster for Prime was supposed to be. Or the Power Master, excuse me. This time it's a Headmaster, or Titan Master, whatever. I'm calling them Headmasters. But that's obviously Optimus Prime's head. This is the one that goes with the God Bomber figure. And his joints are a little stiff. Got his head. And then it came with 2 additional Headmasters. And the reason why I love this figure so much is it's not... Like, another reason we're probably never going to get it in the States is because it is far and away... They're not even trying to hide it over there. This is from the old Super God Master Force cartoon show that they got over in Japan, but we never got. So, it came with Cab and Minerva. Japanese Transformer fans are huge fans of Minerva, because it's like one of the few girl characters that's human on the show. at least in Japan. And they had American counterpart toys in the U.S., but I don't remember their names off the top of my head. And then we've got this. Now I'm showing it to you outside of the photo tent because it's just too big. I can't do the photo tent. And the biggest reason this thing was not released in the States, other than the fact that obviously the God Bomber was never originally released in the States, is that it is a mess to transform. This, I'm going to say it right now, and hopefully I won't bring it up again. This thing is an awesome figure to look at. This is kind of fun to transform once you get the hang of it. It takes a little more of a learning curve. This thing is a pain in the ass to transform. I will maybe transform it 2 or 3 times max, and outside of this video. And I'll probably just have him displayed in the one transformation for the rest of its life. Because this guy cost me a lot. There's no way I'm giving this one up. Sorry, guys. But, another factor, at least in vehicle mode, is the trailers are connected, but it is such a chore just to get that to work. I honestly was about to film this thinking there was no way I could get them to connect, and they finally connected. And I don't think I'm ever going to try to get them to connect again, because before it would fit into the little slit that... Alright, let's see if you can see this. You can't really see it with this lighting. There's that little red peg that goes into the slot there, right in here. And this slot was not closing enough to hold the peg in place. Now it is, but that's because I messed with it for about a good half hour before it finally worked. This gun is not the same story. It's held on by a couple of little pegs, and it's basically just laying there. There's no way it's actually connected, and that's infuriating as hell to me. But this is not how he's going to be displayed, so I'm not worried. And then the only other thing to really talk about in vehicle mode is that the cab will open up. Let's see if I can get it open. It's a pain sometimes. And it's just like the Ultra Magnus build, where you put a headmaster inside. Like they've rebuilt this inside a little bit, because this chair actually also is part of the headpiece that he plugs into in robot mode. But then you gotta close that up, and he can ride inside. And something I love about everything Titans Returns, all over this thing there are these little pegs where you can stand other figures on. So I think I've brought this up before, but they all have these little holes on their feet. And they can all be plugged into these pegs so they can ride on top of them. There's 2 pegs here, there's 2 pegs up here. There's just pegs everywhere. And I really love it. But, it's really... Oh, and, let's... Hold on a minute. So that's almost everything for vehicle mode, but let's point out one other thing. I am going to take this apart, and I'm not going to try to put it back on. Take this off. And this thing, I think, was meant to also ride separately. You could act it as a separate vehicle. I don't remember, like, I've watched the series twice, but it's been a while. So I don't remember if it was ever meant to do that. I think it actually was, because this cracks open, and this has a cockpit for, like, 3 figures. And it's kind of a trick. This little nub at the feet will plug in to these little sockets right here. And what bothers me about this is Shuta, or whatever you want to call him, was the 3rd kid that would hung out with these guys. These were the Headmaster Juniors in the Japanese anime. And Shuta did not come with this, because he came... In Japan, he came in a 2-pack with Wheelie. Now, I have the American version of that character, but it's a different paint job. So that's a bummer, but... But let's just put him in here. Technically, Shuta should have been in the front because he was a central character more than the others. But there's that, and they can all fit in that cockpit. And they would pilot this thing around a lot on the show. And we got more pegs. There's some on the gun here. But that's their vehicle modes. And I'm not too big a fan of the vehicle modes. I mean, like I said, they're fun to look at. But there's no way I'm displaying these figures like this. So let's go ahead and take a look at another mode. Okay guys, here is Ginrai and the God Bomber in Battle Station mode. This was frustrating. Part of the frustration is the language barrier, because I can't read Japanese and the instructions are in Japanese. And the instructions themselves are not artistically, are not done the same way as in America. Like, they're actually like black and white photos of the toys. And because of that, it's a little harder to ID what's actually going on in the picture. At one point, I actually thought I was looking at the prototype photos before I realized, oh, this foot has a different piece, and that's why it's supposed to fold that way. So that was intensely infuriating to try to figure that out. But we've got Ginrai, or Prime's Battle Station, which was kind of reminiscent of the original one. He's got the same weapons that work the same way with the headmasters. And the God Bomber, I've never held the original version, so I don't know if it's reminiscent of the old one or not. But again, I love how that all these pegs are all over the place, where it would look kind of weird in a different form, but as they are now, is the most appropriate way for having all these pieces the way they are. And it's just a lot of fun for me. I love it so much. And again, I'm never going to display them like this, so it's a cool addition. It didn't even occur to me that the God Bomber would have a base mode, but it's cool and I love it. I will never see it again. But that's it for the Battle Station mode. So let's go ahead and take a look at their robot modes.
To defeat the evil Decepticons, Nebulons team up with Autobots to become Power Master.
Their engine's the key that unlocks their Transformer energy.
We're under attack! Oh no, the Decepticons have Power Masters too! Transform Optimus Prime!
Power Master Transformers, they got the power to survive.
Look, Optimus is becoming a Super Power Master! Who will win? Find out in Marvel Comics.
Okay guys, here we are. We've got Super God Ginrai and the God Bomber. Problems with both of these guys, more so with God Bomber. The only real problem I have with Power Master Prime is there's two of them, I guess. One of is, like, the cab is not removable, and it's real tricky to get the cab to shift in the direction you need it to shift to put it into place. And then these feet are just a colossal clusterfuck in trying to transform. Like, you've got to fold them a specific way, and it's not really clear in the instructions, and I had to mess with it for a good hour before I finally figured out what I was supposed to do with it, and it was a pain, but I got through it, and I'm good with him. God Bomber's another problem. After my initial transformation with him, I've transformed all these figures in every transformation once before just to get the idea of them. After that initial transformation, his pieces are removable for the big combiner setup. And after that, these pieces are real easy to knock off. Like, watch. Of course. See? It's silly and borderline insulting how simple it is to have this happen. Like, God Bomber is the reason we never got these figures in America. He's a in my opinion, growing up, the number one rule for Transformers is you should not have to take a Transformer apart to transform him. God Bomber breaks that rule in spades, and it's mind-bogglingly frustrating. But I like he's got the opposable thumb and the fingers, and see, it's doing it again. Then we've got these wedged pieces where the wing hits the thing, and those are supposed to push into place. And, yeah, see, they never want to stay in place. When you have to wedge a piece into another piece like that, it's just, oh, it's so, I hate it. I hate so much that it does this. I love these characters. I'm so happy to have them, but damn it, I will never play with these guys. And, like, you can't see his eyes under that helmet. And, I don't know. I suppose you guys can a little bit. But from this angle, I can't really see it. But that's their robot modes. Power Master Prime or Super God Ginrai is awesome. God Bomber looks cool, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the final transformation.
総司令スーパー陣内新戦士ゴッドボンバー超人合体最強の戦士ゴッド陣内にパワーアップトランスフォーマー超人合体ゴッド陣内
Okay guys, here he is. This is what we got in the States, was referred to as Apex Armor Optimus Prime. And he is massive. Again, the feet were a problem. Well, they weren't a problem, they just look a little janky. This whole transformation, this one was actually a little easier as far as the God Bomber was, but every transformation with where the God Bomber is involved is just a pain in the ass, and it's really disappointing because I really like both this version and the other two robot modes. So I don't know if I'm going to display them like this or as Optimus Prime and God Bomber, or excuse me, Ginrai and God Bomber, but they both just look so awesome. I think just because I don't have enough space on my shelf, I'm going to have to make it be Ginrai and God Bomber. Because this guy's too tall. But he's awesome. He's got a sword, which I wish my Fortress Maximus figure came with. And he's got this cannon. And there's a place for pretty much every piece of him. Whereas, at least on the base mode, there was nowhere to put the little helmet, but if we turn it back, the helmet's actually back here. And it's really loose, but it's back there. Try to get that back there. There. It was incredibly difficult to try to figure out the transformation because, again, the instructions were just very hard to translate when you don't speak, or when you can't read Japanese. But I love it a lot. I just am so happy this figure exists. I'm just really, really mad that it's so complicated and goofy and loose where the pieces clip together. It infuriates me that Transformers exist where they don't just transform. You have to disconnect them. And if you're going to do it like that, make them snap together. Don't make it like just be a goofy, oh, it'll wedge together and that's fine. No, it's not fine. And God Bomber is a perfect example why it doesn't work. And that's really too bad because I paid a lot for this guy. And I waited for, I think, 3 or 4 months for him to show up. But that's it for this week. This figure is awesome to look at, and that's about it. Chrome always makes it cooler. Anyway, that's it for this week. You can find a whole bunch more fun reviews on toys, comics, video games, all sorts of fun nerddom over at thepopculturenetwork.com. We have a 24-hour hotline. Please call us anytime. Leave comments, requests, all sorts of stuff. Like, just let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear from you. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and plenty of other things. It's all scrolling up there, along with that 24-hour hotline. And if you want to see more of my stuff, where I do reviews on things other than Transformers, just whatever pops into my head, you can find me over on YouTube under youtube.com/thegeekreviews. Well, that's it for this week. So until next time, this is the Geek for the Pop Culture Network saying good journey.